What's good, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, a couple months ago, I made a video named One Good Thing About Every NBA Team So Far, and you guys seem to like it, so today we're doing it again, but now we actually have a bigger sample size. We're about 1/4 of the way through the season, which is wild to think about, because it doesn't feel like it's been going on that long, but we are. Before I get into it, I gotta do my shout out to the day. I gotta let you know that the newest episode of my podcast, Through the Wire, has dropped. We talk about Jahlil Okafor being free from Philly. We talk about LeBron buying a house in LA. What does that mean? And plenty more. So if that sounds interesting, click the links in the description. But let's get to one good thing about every NBA team. So again, it's one good thing about every team, which is pretty difficult because there are some NBA teams out there that, just don't got a lot of good things to say about them. And then there are other ones that have plenty to say about them, but we're only sticking it to one. So the first one is the Atlanta Hawks. The best thing I can say about the Atlanta Hawks, because this is one of those things, it's not a lot of great things going on because they are rebuilding. But the best thing I can say is that Dennis the Menace, we're just going to keep it at that, I'm not trying to pronounce his last name, has been playing really well. And he fits the timetable. He's 24 years old. So the rebuild can take 3 to 4 years if they do it successfully. And boom, he's 28, which means that he'll be entering his prime, which is amazing. And right now he's having a career year, and well, they're rebuilding, so they're taking some L's. But nonetheless, his play has been well, and if he can continue to get better, by the time he reaches prime, they'll be right back into things. Next, you got the Boston Celtics, who have been successful without Gordon Hayward. The best thing I can say about them is that, well, defensively, they are the best defensive team in the league, which is crazy because you think about the personnel has changed between last year and this year, and then they got Kyrie Irving at the point guard. Last year, Kyrie Irving was criticized a lot about being one of those guards, or one of the worst defending point guards in the league between him and Isaiah Thomas. But this year, being in Boston, he really bought into clamping down defensively, and because of that, they have the best defense in the league. Their offense is average, but since they've grinded on defense, they have one of the best records in the league, and they're actually really fun to watch because of their defense. So that's their good thing. The Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks, their GM, is making something out of nothing. We know that they don't have draft picks. They don't have their draft pick this year. They haven't had the draft pick for the last couple years. But nonetheless, they figured out a way to get D'Angelo Russell, who is still very young, and now Jahlil Okafor, who's also very young. Jahlil Okafor may not even turn out to be anything, but the fact that they turned Trevor Booker into Jahlil Okafor, who still has potential in the future second-round pick, is amazing to me. So Sean Marks in their front office has been doing a great job with his trades, and they put together a roster that's ultimately not too bad if you take all things that they haven't been able to really draft. So shout out to Sean Marks and the Brooklyn Nets. The Charlotte Hornets have got Dwight Howard to actually play okay basketball, basically having the best year he's had since early days in Houston. No, it's not basically translating to W's, but they got him to a point where he's actually playing well, and I think that can be a minor W for their team. The Chicago Bulls. One thing I can say that's been great about the Bulls so far this year is that Chris Dunn has looked very, very good. Now, when we made the trade to get rid of Jimmy Butler for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine in the first-round pick, I wasn't the biggest fan of it because Chris Dunn's rookie year, he was really bad. Yes, we had a small sample size because he wasn't playing much, but that in itself was saying a lot because that team was not really competing, and having a young guy on their bench that was drafted high and he's not playing, which means that, ultimately he wasn't that good. But this year he has looked amazing. He already basically has the same amount of points this year in 20 games in that he had all of last year. And since he's turned over to be our starting point guard, he has been amazing in the last 6 or 7 games. So he looks like he's going to be a quality player in the NBA, and I chalk that up as a W. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the best player in the league, LeBron James, and the best player in the league is having one of his best years shooting the basketball. He's incorporated the three-point shot into his game. Who knew at the age of 30 plus, LeBron would still be getting better and better? It's wild, but he made an adjustment this offseason with changing the way his elbow goes with his jump shot, and because of that, he's making more threes, and they started off rough, but since then they have been on a roll, so they're back to the place where, yeah, they're probably going to be making it to the finals again. Next, we got the Dallas Mavericks, and the best thing I can say about the Dallas Mavericks is that Dennis Smith Jr. has been playing pretty well, which is saying something because rookie point guards don't necessarily play well. It takes a couple years for a point guard to adjust from college to the NBA, but Dennis Smith Jr. has been doing pretty well at that, so that's one of the few good things about their season so far. The Denver Nuggets have figured out a way to be a successful offense without having an extreme dominant player. They have 6 players averaging double digits, and even with their two big injuries, 2 of their best players being down, they've somewhat been coasting along until they get Nikola Jokic and Paul Millsap back, and I think that's pretty good. They could be doing horrible without him, but they figured out a way to be okay until they stars come back. The Detroit Pistons have been pretty good this year. They started off a lot better, but recently they have been falling a bit. The best thing I can say about them is that they got Drummond shooting better from the free throw line, and people like Tobias Harris and Reggie Jackson are playing better than they did last year. Let's hope that they get back on track, because these last couple games have not been great, but they showed that they can be pretty good, so let's hope they get back there. The Golden State Warriors have figured out a way to win without Stephen Curry. If you did not know coming into the season that they were 7-9 without Steph Curry playing, which is not good. You think about all the firepower they have on their team, they just haven't figured out a way to be successful without Stephen Curry. But so far with Stephen Curry's injuries, they've been playing really, really well, so they figured out a way to be successful without Steph Curry, which is even scarier, because one of the reasons they lost in that Cleveland series is that Steph Curry wasn't 100%. But now with Kevin Durant stepping up to the plate these last couple games without Steph Curry being there, they've been really, really good. So they're playing the best without their most valuable player, which is scary. The Houston Rockets, where do I start? Only one good thing about them. Let's say this. One of the best good things about them is that Mike D'Antoni has figured out a way to be successful with the two ball dominant players in Chris Paul and James Harden. If you remember coming to the season, a lot of people were like, how are they going to be successful? There's only one ball and two of the most ball dominant players in the league. But Mike D'Antoni has figured out a way for A, them to play together and be successful, and B, figured out a way for when James Harden is on the bench, Chris Paul is out there balling. And when Chris Paul's on the bench, James Harden's out there balling. James Harden's having a phenomenal year, a historic year. My MVP favorite right now. But we'll keep it at that. I could talk all day about how good the Rockets are, but again, it's only one good thing. The Indiana Pacers, that Paul George trade, not as bad as we thought when it happened. Victor Oladipo is playing career basketball, which is amazing for him that he's figured out a place to be basically him. If you think about where he's been in the past, he's never been in the greatest place to be successful. And in Orlando, he had to play alongside Alfred Payton, who's a ball-dominant player in himself, and then he played with the most ball-dominant player in the league, in Russell Westbrook. But now he's on a team where he can be him, and he's looking very, very good. And even Domantas Sabonis is looking way better this year than he did last year. So that's their one good thing. That trade is not as bad as it was earlier when it happened. The Clippers, Lou Williams can still score the ball. Yeah. Next, we got the LA Lakers. Brandon Ingram in his second year has looked a lot better, which is not abnormal. You know, people usually play better their second year than their first year, but his jump has been phenomenal. He's way more aggressive out there, and that's exactly what he needed to add to his game. He hit the game winner the other night. Brandon Ingram has been playing really well this year, and the bust talks that people talk about, maybe they're taking a back seat. And they're pointing to that his teammate, I guess, which is, come on now, people tripping. The Memphis Grizzlies don't got a lot of love for Memphis for what they did to Fizdale, but the best thing I can say about them is that Tyreke Evans has rejuvenated his career and playing really well. I realized in editing I forgot to talk about the Miami Heat because there's not many great things to say about them. One thing I can say is that even though Hassan Whiteside has missed about 10 out of their 25 games, they're still in the playoff race. And once he comes back, I'm guessing they'll get better. The Milwaukee Bucks have Giannis. That's what I can say about it. He is a dominant player. We'll keep it at that. And that the Eric Bledsoe deal has been helping their team out a lot. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they have a top 5 offense in the league, which is wild because with their personnel and their coaching, you would think they'd have a top 5 defense, but they don't. Jimmy Butler has stepped it up after starting the season really rocky, and he made a statement to the press. And after that, he's been averaging 20+ points per game since then. So top 5 offense. They'll figure it out defensively eventually. The New Orleans Pelicans have 2 of the best big men in the league, and they have been dominant. And because of that, they've stayed afloat, and they're in the playoff race, but the rest of the team is pretty bad. The New York Knicks have the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis. A lot of times I feel like it's a one-man show out there, but that's okay, because even though they are in the playoff race, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. So because of that, they get another lottery pick that can help their team in the future. But right now, it's the unicorn, and that's it. OKC Thunder. Positive. We're thinking positive, okay? They still have a number 2 defense in the league. They're struggling as a team, but defensively, they have been playing well. We'll stick it at that. I'm going to keep it positive. They're number 2 defense in the league. The Orlando Magic. The best thing I said about them is that Aaron Gordon has been playing a lot better this year. He's changed his jump shot. If you didn't know, before this season, he was shooting the ball very late in his eyes. So he was shooting the ball going down when in reality, you're supposed to shoot it at his apex. He fixed that in his game, and because of that, he's shooting 40% from 3 when he shot 28% last year. That's a significant increase. And though they're not as hot as they were to start the season, they still got some bright sides in Aaron Gordon. Philadelphia 76ers have 2 future superstars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Phoenix Suns have Devin Booker, who solo has given that team as many W's as they have, and without him being out there for the next couple weeks, they're going to struggle a lot, which is okay with them probably because they're embracing the tank. But at least they hit on one of their draft picks in the last 5 years, and that's Devin Booker. Portland Trail Blazers have figured out a way for Al-Farouq Aminu, Evan Turner, Mo Harkless, guys like that to actually contribute, which is really good. We're going to keep it at that. I could talk bad about the contracts they gave them, but let's just say those guys are contributing, and hopefully they can get back on track soon. The Sacramento Kings have a 36-year-old Zach Randolph leading them in scoring. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll just say that. I'll take it as a positive thing that at 36, Zach Randolph is still scoring 15 points per game. The Spurs are 19-8 without their superstar. Pop is showing up and out-coaching people, and they got players that fit into their system really well. And when Kawhi comes back, I'm guessing they're just going to be that much better. The Toronto Raptors are making more threes this year than last year, which is saying something because one of their star players, DeMar DeRozan, doesn't shoot threes at all. So Kyle Lowry and CJ Miles have been lighting it up from beyond the arc. They're averaging 3 more threes per game than they did last year, which is saying something because Toronto Raptors weren't never really known for evolving to the point where the three-point shot is important to them. But now they have, and OG Anunoby is really good. Don't sleep. He's really good. The Utah Jazz found a diamond in the rough in Donovan Mitchell. He himself has kept them afloat. A rookie, #1 option on offense, and he's playing very, very well. And last but not least, Bradley Beal has been playing really well without John Wall there. John Wall's out with an injury, and you would think with their star player, one of their top players in the league being down, they would kind of fall a little bit, but Bradley Beal has kept them afloat, and when John Wall comes back, I'm guessing they won't be too much in the hole. Yes, they're not a top 4 team in the East like we thought they would probably be, but they're still not losing 3 or 4 games in a row, so that's good. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. That is one good thing about all 30 NBA teams. It was tough, but we got it done. In the comment section below for shout out of the day, let me know a good thing about your favorite team that I didn't mention in this video. Thank y'all.